Colts. Make sure you follow my guys at the Anvil, best sports talk podcast going on with Colts right now. Tune in.
It seems like a Sunday, like anyone before. That's what you think. So you open up the door, you feel the buzz, you can hear the people singing battle cries. Lucas Oil Stadium's about to come alive. Blue and white jerseys, some old and some new, all gather round South Capitol Avenue. They come for the tailgate, some drive and some fly. Colts fans show up with fire in their eyes, yelling, "Go Host, go Big Blue!" We're in the stands, the tried and true, here to watch this football sensation. Come on, let's go, Colts Nation, the Colts Nation. We take this very serious, it is not a joke. We're back, all the players, we're back in it, coach. We scream and we root, we raise up our fists to support this team from Indianapolis. Go Host, go Big Blue, we're in the stands cheering for you, here to watch this football sensation. Come on, let's go, Colts Nation, the Colts Nation, Colts Nation. Screaming, go Host, go Big Blue, we're in the stands, the tried and true, here to watch this football sensation. Come on, let's go, Colts Nation, yeah, Colts Nation, that Colts Nation. Come on, let's go, Colts Nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's that time, it's that moment, it's the Anvil Show. Let me welcome you, the Cloud the Voice, Thomas the Frost, Big Country, Big P, your boy CJ, and our special guest, Bob Kravitz, aka Big Bob, is in the house. Again, welcome to the Anvil Show.
Thank you, boys, for having me, man. Thank you. I love the intro.
Thank you.
I wanted to get up and hit somebody.
It's a full concert, and we'll hit something for you right now, Bob. Here we go.
All right, let's go.
Yes, sir. That's the sound of the anvil.
If they ever asked me to do the Anvil, I'd probably rip a hammy or something, shoulder blade injury or something.
Absolutely.
We have we tailgate every game day, and we actually got an anvil over there. So if you ever decide to want to hit an anvil, just come over to our tailgate spot.
Yeah, if I'm dealing with some anger issues, I might just do that.
Absolutely.
So while we have everyone's attention, please like us, subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You know what it is. Bang that bish. But I mean, if you don't know who Bob Kravitz is and you're a Colts fan, I would ask you to do a little history. The guy's been around forever, and he's been covering the Colts ever since I can remember. I'm sorry, Bob. I'm not trying to show your age.
I am old. I can acknowledge that.
I remember reading articles many years ago. So it's a pleasure to have you on. It is.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll just kick the door open and start with Bob. Just walk us through your career with the Colts from the beginning to where you are now.
Well, I came here from Denver in 2000. I was working at the Rocky Mountain News, which no longer exists, like most of the newspapers I've worked at over the years. I came to the Star in 2000. I was there for about, 14, 15 years. Then I went to WTHR, And amazingly enough, they put this face on TV, along with, writing a column on their website, and did that for about 4 years. And I've been at the Athletic now for 3 years. So I've had a long career where I've worked a lot of different places, but Indy is home. It's where I went to school. I went to IU, and not planning on moving anytime soon.
Awesome. Awesome. My next question before we go around the panel, I would say, over your time covering the Colts, have you had a favorite player and or coach that maybe gave you your better articles, or just someone you enjoy talking to the most?
Well, I mean, I hate to go with the obvious. Well, I'll give you 2 players that I really enjoyed. Well, 3. Gary Brackett was one of my favorite guys. Always available, always had something to say, and we have remained friendly over the years. Of course, Peyton Manning, during the whole situation where he was, cut, we were in constant conversation. He's great. And then another guy who, this may surprise you, but Anthony Gonzalez, who has gone on to be a congressman for the time being anyway, in Washington, D.C., representing his area of Ohio. So those guys. And as far as coaches go, I love Jim Mora. Jim Mora was just a hard ass. And I'll never forget, after his whole playoffs rant, we're walking out, and he's like, "You got a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So we walk into this small room, and he's like, "So did I say anything that wasn't 100% true?" And I'm like, "No, it's all true, but boy, that's going to be on TV."
It still is.
You just become a meme for the rest of your life, or whatever they call it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've really, I mean, the Colts, I've had a lot of guys that I really enjoyed working with, and the same still holds true now. I don't, I'm not there every day like Zach Kiefer and James Boyd from The Athletic. I mean, I'm more of a features / column guy, so I kind of helicopter in, parachute in, whatever, now and again. But yeah, it's been a good working relationship, and working with Jim Irsay has always been great fun.
Absolutely. All right, Pat, we'll kick it around. You got a question you want to ask?
Well, first of all, now that I know you went to IU, we're alumni.
Yeah.
We're brother. Oh, we got 3 of them. Thomas graduated from IU too.
Yeah, but you didn't graduate in 1942 like I did. I'm just kidding. I graduated in 82.
Patrick's just kidding too, because he's never went to college, but it's okay. All right,
definitely give yourself an Omaha for that.
Had to get paid now that it start.
I got the cap and gown to prove it.
All right, go ahead.
I didn't mention the diploma.
Exactly.
Anyways, Bob, at the beginning of this season, things looked really, really weak, and it was something that we was not expecting, because the team that Ballard has put together on paper is a juggernaut, and they came out and they weren't. Everybody was calling for Frank's head. Everybody was calling for Ballard's head. At the beginning there, I just kind of want to get your take and what you're seeing from then to now on, the hot seats, basically.
Well, first of all, I would disagree with you about them being a juggernaut. I thought that they would compete for the AFC South title, but, they came into the season. We didn't know about the 2 spots in the offensive line. We didn't know about Matt Ryan, who's, 37, which is not young. We didn't know about the wide receivers or the tight end. So I thought that they were going to be a pretty good team, but not a juggernaut necessarily. I look at things a little different than fans do. I mean, I think that's part of my job. Kind of gave up the fan card a couple of years ago, or many years ago when I started this business. But, I think they're hanging on for dear life right now. This game on Sunday is enormously huge. You can't lose what would be 3 games in the AFC South and hope to win the AFC South. It's just a really there's no margin for error there. So I think look, I don't think Frank's in any deep trouble. I don't think Ballard's in any deep trouble. But if this thing goes really south, I just don't get the sense that Jim Irsay has a ton of patience right now. If you think he's running out of patience with Dan Snyder, imagine the way he felt after they tied Houston and got run by Jacksonville. So we'll see what happens, but this Sunday is going to be enormous.
Remembering that you said that, Bob, I want to ask a question after we come back around when it comes to Irsay's perspective. I'm gonna kick it down to Carvey. Carvey, you in thought right now for your question?
Yeah, I got a question. All right, so since you've been watching the game and you covering the Colts and whatnot, my question is, what players this season have you been impressed with so far?
I expected Michael Pittman to be really good, so I guess I've been impressed but not surprised. I mean, this is what we sort of expected in the next step in his development. I'll tell you who's been really good is Grover Stewart. And I believe Zach Kiefer's got a story going about him tonight or tomorrow on The Athletic. You'll be able to read that. But he has played like an all-pro. He's been incredible. Just going through the team, I mean, obviously on offense, there's not a lot to recommend with this group. They're the lowest scoring team in the league up until this past week against Jacksonville. Grover, I'll tell you another guy, Zaire Franklin has been really good.
Absolutely.
And I think Stephon Gilmore, which I could have told you at training camp. I mean, I'm no genius, but I watched him at training camp up in Westfield, and I thought, damn, this guy can play. This guy can play. So those would be the guys who've really impressed me the most.
Okay.
All right. Acosta, where you at with your question?
I was just going to say, Bob, I was just going to ask, obviously we have consistency issues, and this is a consistency, pronounced league per se. So where do you think the Colts, other than the quarterback situation we've had the last 5 or so years, where do you think the consistency problem's been lying in Indianapolis?
Boy, I just, it's hard to get past quarterback, I mean, the offensive line, obviously, I never thought I'd miss Mark Glowinski and Eric Fisher as much as I have this year. I mean, they were, good players, but not great. But man, it's been those positions have been a disaster. Look, this is a quarterback league. Everybody knows, and I'm not telling you anything you all don't know. And when you've had 6 guys in 6 years, it's just hard to maintain anything. And I believe this is the draft when Chris Ballard needs to and will use that first round pick for a quarterback, whether it's, Stroud or Young or Hendon Hooker, who really impressed me in that Tennessee game, or the kid from Kentucky, Levis. So once you get that straightened away, you're okay. But it's going to, until they get the quarterback situation straightened out, it's going to be, it's going to be difficult.
T. Frost, where you at with your question?
I can't hear him.
Yeah, I think he's got to unmute yourself, Thomas. He's the new guy. He acts like the new guy.
Rookie.
Oh my God, Thomas. Unmute yourself. He just muted himself again.
Okay, we're okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what was going on there.
That's what was going on.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
What was going on there? But we all know Matt Pryor's in his third, I believe, start position on the offensive line, but it seems to have kind of stabilized a little bit. Do you think it's sustainable moving forward this season?
I mean, I wish I could tell you yes, but I haven't found a position that Pryor's good at. Now, I mean, Dennis Kelly has been played really well the other day. I mean, it was a franchise record, 58 dropbacks with no sacks. It's pretty extraordinary. And I give Ryan credit for getting rid of the ball real quick. I mean, he was getting rid of the ball in it was 2.4 seconds. So he was ripping it pretty quick. But this offensive line is going to be an issue all season. I mean, maybe Dennis Kelly solidifies and stabilizes the left tackle spot, but I have no faith in Matt Pryor. He seems like a really nice guy, but he just I don't see it. I don't see it. He's just gotten run over at virtually every position he's played. And look, I mean, you got to give everybody a little grief there. It's not just him. I mean, the great Quentin Nelson has been abused once in a while. Braden Smith has not been as great. Ryan Kelly has not been great. Now he's been dealing with some injury issues in fairness to him. So I just think the offensive line in general has been a real disappointment. This past game was obviously nice, but I don't see how that's sustainable. Nor do I think going no huddle is sustainable. I thought it worked. It'll work as a part of your toolbox, as something you use once in a while, but I don't see them being the Buffalo Bills back in the day, or the old Cincinnati Bengals with the sugar huddle and Boomer Esiason. I don't see that with the Colts.
Man, you took the words out of my mouth with the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, that's
the okay gun, man.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So I'm gonna circle back to that Jim Irsay point you were making. So everybody talks about Irsay being potentially pissed and he's getting fed up. But at what point, my question is, does he actually enact his ownership of the team and makes judgment calls? Kind of like, I don't want to get too crazy, but Jerry Jones, like, I want that guy for fuck money. We going to get that guy. So when does he get to that point, in your opinion?
Well, there's not a heck of a lot you can do right now. I mean,
right.
But I mean, the question that I keep getting asked, or I haven't in the last 24, 48 hours, but people are like, well, will they get rid of Reich? First of all, I don't think Reich is the problem here. Secondly, Jim Irsay, in all the years he's run this franchise, has never fired a head coach in the middle of the season. And you look at the history of coaches, interim coaches, it's brutal. If you have a bad team that doesn't perform, they ain't going to suddenly get good because you put the defensive coordinator in a different seat. So I think Frank is fine for the rest of the season, unless this thing completely goes south. I think he will be back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we can swing it around. Before we get to the Q&A, Pat, I was going to have you hold some of those questions until we actually get to Q&A. So
I'm hitting the start button so I can go back.
Okay. So we'll kick it back around. We'll go in the same order. So Pat, you're up now. You got another one?
Yeah, I was just, since we're on the line and we're beating the line up, and honestly,
and deservedly so.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, that's where I'm a big trenches guy. I say it week in and week out. And if you look at the stats, at the first game, we went 6 for 15 on third downs. Unacceptable. The second game, 2 for 10 on third down conversions. The fourth game, 7 for 13. The fifth game, 4 for 16. And I don't have the stats loaded up for this last game. But total, we went 25 for 69 on third down conversions. Yeah. That's a 36%. Now, I don't care.
There's a reason for that. Let me interrupt real quick. There's a reason for that. They're in 3rd and 7 every time. The running game has been so ineffective, and they've just generally been so ineffective on 1st and 2nd down. They're constantly in 3rd and longs. And when you have an offensive line that can't hold up, you're dead. You're meat. You got
name me one running back that could run behind those kind of stats.
Barry Sanders.
Well,
no,
okay.
I'm not blaming Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is running into a brick wall. What I'm saying is the offensive line has been so bad that they have not been able to stay, as they say, in front of the sticks. So you're constantly in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you've still got an offensive line that doesn't pass protect particularly well, and a quarterback who can't move, is not going to make plays off script. So, that's the problem. I mean, yeah, the 3rd down numbers are interesting, but they are the way they are because they're not getting anything done on 1st and 2nd down.
Don't get no more real than that. And I've seen too.
That's real right there.
Yeah, I mean, to not discount any of that, but like watching them on Sunday, I was like, the game plan has to be quick pass because we were down to our 3rd running back starting.
Right.
But we seen some action there, and it kind of makes me think. Well, now when you get a healthy JT, do you revert back to what wasn't working, or do you keep this? Because you got to feed JT's got to have 20, 25 carries at a minimum. So how do we do that?
What they did this past week against Jacksonville is not sustainable. I mean, 58 passes. Yeah. I don't know the record of teams that attempt over 50 passes in a game, but it's got to be terrible because it usually means that you're way behind and you're playing catch up. So what they did last week was not sustainable. They have got to go back. Will it work? I don't know, but this is the way they are built. They are built to run the football and go play action and give their quarterback a chance. And I think they've got to go back to what they were, or at least make that effort. Now, can you do that with this offensive line? If you watch the first, 6 games, the answer is no, not really. But I don't know what your options are. I mean, you can't put the whole season on Matt Ryan's shoulders. He's not the Matt Ryan of 2018 or 2017, I guess, when they went to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of a conundrum for them. How they operate from here on out, I'm not really sure, but I know that what they did last week was a one-off.
Carvey, where are you at with your question?
So speaking of that, him throwing over 56% of the game. So my question is this: besides Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, and sometimes Paris Campbell, we really don't have any other weapons out there. In my opinion, do you think we can see us going out there and getting somebody that can help out on the wide receiver side?
If they haven't by now, they never will. Okay. I mean, I screamed and yelled about this during training camp. Mm-hmm. In fairness, I think Pierce has been every bit as good, if not better, than we could have had a right to expect. I think Campbell has had his moments. He certainly looked good against Jacksonville. But look, this is not a great wide receiver room. I realize everybody loves Reggie Wayne as the receivers coach. One of my favorite guys in the world, but he's a first-year coach. How much of a difference maker can he be, especially with a really young wide receiving group? I like Ashton Doolin. He's dealing with some injuries now, but I think he's got a chance. But yeah, this is not a team when you don't have much depth at wide receiver and your offensive line is struggling. You don't have a lot of options. So I just think they're trying to cobble together these game plans that will work for one day and kind of go game by game. It's been a struggle, obviously.
Absolutely. Okay, Acosta, where you at? What's your question, boss?
So my question is going to lead into this. So we all know Frank's play calling has been heavily questioned, throughout the season so far. We know he's a big analytics guy. Do you think he leans on analytics probably too much? In my opinion, I think he does more than a coach's intuition. Do you think he needs to lean more on that or stick to his guns and what he's doing with his game plan?
First of all, I think fans and I think some media put too much emphasis on plays and not players. And, you can call the most exotic game plan. And if you don't have an offensive line that can block, it does not matter. And so, there have been times on 4th down where I thought Frank was unnecessarily aggressive. A couple of years ago against Houston, I'll never forgive him. why on 4th and 4 at your own 30-something he goes for it. I have no idea. In overtime, they end up losing that game and having to play a road game in Houston in the playoffs, which they won. But
I was there.
What's that?
I said I was there. It was a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game. They played fabulous.
Absolutely.
But I just think we spend way too much time talking about plays. I mean, Frank, it's amazing how much smarter Frank was when he had an offensive line that could block. It's amazing how much better of a play call he was when he had wide receivers and tight ends. And to me, if we're playing the blame game, to me, this is more on Ballard than it is on Frank Reich, quite honestly. Now, who will take the pipe? If things get bad, it'll be Frank Reich because that's the way the NFL works. But I don't think we're there yet.
Got you. Okay. Thomas, where are you at?
Yeah, I just got one last question, and it's more for like me, I guess, because I've felt this way before. So during the draft, since you were talking about Ballard, a big quarterback that a lot of people were really high on, including myself, was Malik Willis.
Yeah.
And some draft boards had him going in the first, and he fell to the third.
Right.
And the Colts had, in my mind, two big chances to take him. One of those chances they took Jelani Woods, which I'm not upset about. But the other one they took Brandon Raymond. Now in this position, I know this quarterback.
Bernard Ryman. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Ryman. I call him Raymond. Yeah.
Okay.
People call him Rain Man. But with
Man,
this,
yeah.
I know this draft is really heavy in quarterback, but in this position, would you have been happier if they would have taken Willis instead of Raman, or would you rather do what we just did and have a first round pick for a quarterback this year?
No, well, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't have a first round pick last year because they
right. Yeah, no, they didn't. No,
for Wentz. So I think this is the year to do it. And I wrote that column knowing fully well that Ballard has. I mean, I'd be shocked beyond words if they don't go quarterback. I mean, does anybody want to see another year of Matt Ryan?
I'm okay with it.
You are?
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
I don't think he's the problem though. That's my thing. I just feel like you was talking, it's our line more than anything.
Yeah, I mean the line's been terrible. The running game's been non-existent. But dude, 11 fumbles, 7 interceptions.
That's tough.
That's tough. That's tough to overcome.
That's tough.
He is not. He played well against Jacksonville, certainly in the second half and especially the fourth quarter. But I just think, and I may be alone in this, but I think he's on his last legs as a NFL quarterback. And to me, it would be management malpractice if Chris Ballard did not do everything in his power next year to get one of the big 3 or 4 quarterbacks who will be available.
Okay. So I'll have one last question before we get into letting you talk about Irsay and the Commanders a little bit. But you were very much on record about how you felt doing the Peyton Andrew Luck transition. Yes. Just do you care to just enlighten us a little bit? You don't have to give us all, but what was your thought process during that? That was a tough time for everybody that was a fan at that point. What do we do?
Well, what I felt was once they got to, I don't remember the record. There at one point they were like 0-12, 1-14
was a final, I believe.
Yeah, 2-14 was a final. But at one point, I said, they're going to get the first pick in the draft, and that's going to be Andrew Luck. And there's no way you bring in Andrew Luck and have him sit behind Peyton Manning. I mean, you just don't do that. And so what I started writing was, like it or not, Indianapolis, we have seen the last of Peyton Manning in a Colts uniform. And I know that was a tough thing to write, and it was tough for Peyton to read. And it's hard. I mean, he was a god around here and still is. But I just felt, and I knew that Jim Irsay felt as well, that they needed to move on. And the reason being, nothing against Peyton, but remember, he was coming back after a couple of really serious neck surgeries. And they were going to owe him, I believe it was $28 million, right? I mean, do you really want to pay a guy $28 million when you're not sure he can throw from here to there? When you have Andrew Luck available, a generational quarterback, or at least somebody who we hoped would be a long-term generational quarterback. So that's why I took that tack. And for once in my natural life, I was right.
Now I got a follow-up question on that one. And we had Zach Kiefer on a few weeks ago talking about his luck series he did.
Yeah, that's right.
And I asked him, I said, who do you put the blame on for Luck's injuries and Luck's early retirement out of the league? And he kind of went Switzerland on us and gave credit to both Gripson and Luck. Myself, I give all the blame to Gripson. Where do you stand on the blame game?
Well, I at the risk of being a Western European country here, look, I think Grigson knew. Look, Grigson's not stupid. He understood that he needed to get offensive linemen, and he did draft a number of offensive linemen. And he did sign a number of free agents. None of them worked out. They just didn't work out. Now, some went on to play reasonably well with other franchises, which make you think about the coaching at the time. But look, Andrew is responsible to a certain degree himself, because remember, they had to bring in a guy from the Indianapolis Indians to show him how to slide, for God's sake. I mean, he took a lot of hits he didn't need to take because he had to play hero ball. And it's one of the things you loved about Andrew Luck, and it's one of the things that made you think this dude ain't going to last very long. So again, I it's always easier to place all the blame on one guy or another, but I think part of it was Pagano. I think part of it was Andrew, and I think part of it was Ryan Grigson.
Okay,
Switzerland.
Definitely Switzerland on that one.
I like Austria better. That's just me.
Okay.
So we'll let you give us your take on what's going on with Jim Irsay and his thoughts on Dan Snyder and the Commanders before we open up the Q&A, because we got a lot of questions rolling in. So the floor is yours on that topic, Bob.
Well, God bless Jim Irsay. I mean, I realize there's an investigation underway against Snyder and his operation, but there have been, this goes back many, many years. Snyder took over in 1999, and he's been a pox on the league. He's been a blight. He's done terrible things involving sexual harassment and a lot of other things. He is a terrible owner, a terrible representative of the National Football League, and I give Jim Irsay a ton of credit for doing what nobody else had the balls to do, which is come out and say that this guy has to go. And excuse my phone for dinging. It's my editor. I will.
No, you're good. You're good. We understand.
You get a
real job. you got a real job. We just here talking. So
you want to hear something funny though? I just got a text back from Irsay. It's just a bunch of emojis.
That's dope. Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
live and breaking.
Texting, tell him we need him on the show next.
Oh, sure. You might need 4 hours.
That's okay.
That'll be great. Exclusive. But yeah, so I looked at that today and I was like, was this going to a lot of memes are coming out, a lot of jokes. It was like, oh, well, Irsay must be the only guy that Snyder doesn't have any kind of dirt on. But I mean, I don't know. It's a bro culture for those guys.
There's so much dirt in Irsay's background. I mean, talk about skeletons. It's a graveyard. But you know what? Jim don't care. Jim does not care. I mean, there's nothing you can possibly say about Jim Irsay that hasn't already been said. I mean, and he's been totally transparent about his struggles with opioid addiction. And so, yeah, no, I think it's great. Jerry Jones is already taking the easy way out. Bob Kraft hasn't said anything, but he's on his honeymoon, I would imagine, on some little island somewhere in the Pacific. So no, I thought it was great. I thought it was a big moment for the NFL, and I thought initially, boy, it's kind of funny. Jim Irsay is the conscience of the NFL. That is kind of funny. But you know what? Why the hell not? Why the hell not? Somebody's got to say it. This guy, Snyder, is bad news. bad news. He's got to go.
Facts.
So there.
Man, that's a lot of thoughts. You guys got any input on that from the article today that you guys seen? Round the horn.
I'll have a column appearing tomorrow morning. I was kind of hoping it would go tonight, but they're going to hold it until tomorrow. So
I was
checking it out.
I was just going to ask what your opinion was about them firing back at Jim Irsay, what their opinion was about that, saying how it was inappropriate and stuff like that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I understand where they're coming from. They're saying, hey, there's an investigation out there, but there's been several investigations and several really tough stories. You should read the ESPN.com piece. I hate to promote a competitor, but Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham both did an amazing job with a story about how Snyder was telling colleagues that he had dirt on all the owners and Goodell, and if they tried to take him down, he was going to take them down with them. And so, yeah, it's deflect and deny. It's deflect and deny, and it's right out of the politician's playbook. It's what Snyder's been doing for years. But, at least Dan Snyder's got Carson Wentz now, so all's fine.
That's funny, Bob, because and it's not really funny, but I really wanted to know, like, you remember when John Gruden, all his shit hit the fan, and he was like, trust me, there's way more to the story that you guys don't know. I felt like he was going in like a very dark path, but I feel like some of that, he knows some of this stuff too. Like, I know it's two different things, but I'm like, does he know things that have gone on and he couldn't wait to expose them to? Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of controversy here on the last.
Oh yeah, although I'm sure he's got a lot of shit on a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of it's been out there already. I mean, Robert Kraft and his happy endings. I mean, all these guys got something. All these guys got something.
They're billionaires. They got
billionaires. They can afford to be stupid and do inappropriate things. But I mean, Snyder is just such a blight on the league that organization has been competitively horrible, and they've created a workplace that's just not safe for anybody, especially women. So, the sooner they get him out of the league, just like Robert Sarver and Donald Sterling in the NBA, that's you got to get rid of these guys.
And that's a conversation I had the other day, just with some friends. I was like, it's not like this hasn't happened where owner has had to sell his team, because a lot of people
actually in the 102-year history of the National Football League, and I only knew this, I've learned this about 5 minutes before I came on with you guys. No owner has ever been quote unquote forced to sell his team. Now, Jerry Richardson, a couple of years ago, I think it was 2017, was pressured to sell the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But they never took the team away from him.
Got you. I was just talking about the culture of sports. So like NBA, we just dealt with it like twice over the last few years type thing. So I was like, it might not have been seen in the NFL, but I'm like, we've seen it in other sports. So that's kind of where I was coming from. But we'll see. I mean, these guys, he's competitive. We know that. So he's going to fight to the end. So,
I mean, he's going to deflect and deny till the end. And, it's going to end up in the law, in the legal system somehow, some way. And it's just going to get stretched out forever. And the Commanders are going to suck until he's gone.
Yeah, I definitely see this as a rabbit hole that doesn't have an ending to it.
It does not.
All right, Pat, we're about at the 20 mic mark, so go ahead and start queuing some of those questions while we still got Bob.
All right, chat's been going nuts today, so I gotta give me a second to scroll back up. All right, our first question goes back to Mr. Chase Sunway. If you could pick one game that you cherish the most out of all the years, what would it be and why?
I like easy questions. AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. Simple. I mean, that game was so much bigger than the Super Bowl. I know it sounds crazy, but if you talk to any Colt who played on that team, including Tony Dungy, they will tell you that the Super Bowl was an anticlimax after the AFC Championship game, coming back and beating the Patriots. That was That place was just electric that day. Not so much after the first half, but once they started coming back, it was unbelievable. So very clearly, and there's no number two, them beating the Patriots in the AFC Championship game is my numero uno.
Here.
Most emotions I've ever expended in 3 hours. Like, from the fucking bottom to the top. It was insane. Cried and everything.
All right, another Chase Shumway question. Why does Gus Bradley keep wanting to swap Rodgers and Clyde say his name? Faison every week. Rodgers has played way better.
Agreed. And I agree, Chase. And I think Rodgers is going to get more playing time as we move on. And in fact, at the Colts today, today's Tuesday, right? They had the coordinators available to the media, and that was one of the big sources of conversation was, hey, what are you seeing in Faison that you're not seeing in Rodgers? All Rodgers does is make plays, man. I mean, look, I'm not trained to be a defensive coordinator. I'm just, a writer, but I know what I see. And Isaiah Rodgers passes the eye test for me, and Faison not so much. So that's a good question. But I do think, based on the answers that Gus Bradley offered today, I really do believe that Rodgers is going to play more in the future.
I'm an Omaha myself. Because when we were at training camp, I wanted to ask that question when we had Gus, but I was afraid. And the only reason why I was afraid because the season hadn't started yet, and I knew he had like some background with Faison coming from
right.
But I was like, how do you just elevate this guy to number two, knowing how well Rodgers played last year? And then here we are, he gave up 2 big plays in the Jags game. I'm like, bro, he's always out of space or wherever
he's around the ball all the time.
Yeah. So I
you did deserve that Omaha, by the way.
Thanks, Bob.
Being a pussy, not asking the tough questions.
Never hesitate to ask a question. Just ask.
I know, right?
Let it rip.
Got it.
All right. Well, Miss Teresa's got a question for you. Irsay going to get pissed, and it's like he's never fired no one midseason. But question is, when will he snap and fire Reich or Ballard?
Not going to be during the season. I mean, look, if they had started 1-5 or something, I could make the case. But understand this: Jim Irsay has spent his entire ownership time trying to not be his father. Okay. His father fired coaches on the plane going home. He fired them at halftime. He fired them going to the bathroom. He just fired guys. And Jim does not want that kind of franchise. And name for me the last time an interim coach turned a football team around. You can't. I mean, everybody ends up like Rick Venturi. They're 1 in 1,000. It just doesn't work. If you got a bad team through the first 5 weeks, chances are pretty damn good you're going to have a bad team through 16, 17 weeks. So I don't think anything is going to happen. I'm positive nothing's going to happen during the season. Now, let's see where we are at the end of the year. But I think Frank Reich would be more likely to be let go than Chris Ballard. I think they're going to get – but I think in the end, both guys, if they do go with a young quarterback, I like Frank Reich with a young quarterback. And I'd like to see both those guys given the opportunity to live a life that doesn't involve 6 quarterbacks in 6 years.
Like with their own pick. I see what you mean.
With their own pick. Exactly.
If they do fire Reich mid-season, end of season, whenever, do you feel like it's justified, or do you think it's fan pressured and win-loss pressure?
Well, I think it's more of a fan thing than it is a realistic thing. I mean, look, Indianapolis is no different than every other market in the NFL. I can tell you that in Denver, I mean, Nathaniel Hackett has been there, 6 games? Yeah, 6 games. They are already calling for his head.
Yeah.
The fans, the media, they're already calling for his head. So that's just the nature of the beast. But look, they're 3-2-1. If they win this game, they're in really good shape moving forward in the AFC South. They got a schedule that's kind of friendly coming up after the Tennessee game.
Yep.
So Yeah, I think it's way too early to talk about that. I understand people are frustrated, but look, if you want to be frustrated at somebody, be frustrated at Chris Ballard for giving Reich and this group this offensive line. You know, they've spent a higher percentage. You've heard this a million times. They spent a higher percentage of money on the cap on their offensive line than any team in the National Football League, and they have sucked. I mean, they have. I mean, not good. So I think it's more on Ballard than it is on Reich. But the way these things work, if anybody was to go, it would be Reich first. But I think unless this thing completely goes down the toilet, I really think that both guys will be back next year.
I'm gonna push my chips to the middle. It wasn't a total replacement, but I will say BA coached better than Pagano during his cancer year. And
well, he's 11-5, but Pagano was 11-5 his 2 years.
True that. But we started off slow that year.
Then he went 8-8 with a million quarterbacks. I mean, remember they were playing touchdown Jesus. Did I almost make you do a spit take? The man's in the middle of his Coors Light. And that would have been great.
Oh, shit.
Jesus. My goal is to make you spit out your beer now.
Do it, Bob. Do it.
What Sean got for us?
Right? Next question comes from Sean Ward. The key to being relevant and winning this division is the running game. And can Taylor get healthy and start his warpath like he did year during this time?
I have no question that Jonathan Taylor is as good as he was last year. I have real questions about this offensive line. And that's the problem. If they can't run the ball, it ain't going to work. I mean, this team is built to run the football. I mean, they're built from the inside out. That's the whole Ballard philosophy, and it's been successful in the past. But you know, when you don't know what you're going to get from Dennis Kelly necessarily, and you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get from anybody except for maybe Clinton. I mean, I don't know where you go from here. I really don't. I know this. I don't want to see Matt Ryan throw. If Matt Ryan throws over 50 passes on Sunday, they will lose by 40 points.
Jesus Christ.
They will. You can't throw 50 times.
Chase chimed in with another question.
I love it, though. I absolutely love this.
With Wentz being hurt, do you think that pick will be a third or a second?
Yeah, it'll be a third. Yeah. I mean, I don't know when he's supposed to come back. I guess they're talking 4 weeks, probably
4 to 6.
4 to 6.
4 to 6. Yeah,
I read.
And they'd be nuts. I mean, they're going to be out of it anyway. So we'll see lots of Taylor Heineken or whatever his name is.
I don't remember the specifics of that deal.
We'll see a lot of him in the last month this season for the Commandos.
It's just 70%. So if it had Wentz played 70%,
right,
just like we did when we got him from the Eagles, he played 70% for us last year. Then the Eagles got our second round pick. It was basically the same thing.
Right. It's virtually the same thing. And
so
I've had people, email me like, "Well, why didn't the Colts bench him?" I'm like, first of all, their backup, if I'm not mistaken, was Sam Ehlinger. And secondly, all they need to do is win one freaking game. And they're in the playoffs. You're going to take your quarterback out to save a draft spot? That's insane. So no, but yeah, I think Washington is gonna hold on to that second pick. I don't think there's much question about that.
Now you brought up Sam. Let me ask you that. What's your take on Sam? There's a lot of fans that really like him.
He has really improved a lot, guys. He's on this like 2 or 3 year mission. He's been working with Tom House, who has worked with Brady. He's worked with Locke, a lot of people. He's kind of a throwing guru, and he's improved his arm strength pretty significantly. And I think we all know that he's got that moxie. He's got that it. Now, does he have an NFL arm? I don't think he does, but I can tell you this. Matt Ryan came into that game on Sunday on something of a short leash. I think if he had played, I mean, this is just me talking. This is not a a report, but I just felt like if Matt had come out and stunk the place up, we might have seen Sam Ellinger if things had gone really bad.
Okay, follow up to that. How did he leapfrog
Foles.
Nick Foles to get the second?
The way they explain it, and I don't really buy it, they say they want to use Ellinger in kind of that old Jacoby Brissett role where he comes in on 4th and short and gets something done. What I think is he's just played really well. He had a terrific preseason. And I think they really thought, do we really want to go move forward with Matt Ryan? I mean, I know it just blows me away. Like freaking Mike Greenberg. He's like, boy, I sure hope Matt Ryan, Mike Greenberg from ESPN.
Yeah.
Yes, this tweet. Boy, I hope Matt Ryan is keeping receipts. I'm like, what in the fuck are you talking about? Have you watched the first 5 games? He was terrible. I realize that the offensive line wasn't any good, but 11 fumbles. I mean, that's just that doesn't work. I'm like, Greeny, you're out of your mind. I just hate guys like that. But
Hey, Bob, we so happy that you're being your unapologetic. We won't
absolutely
what I paid for, man.
Love the shit. Be yourself, man. What's the next question?
All right, Daniel Dunn wants to know: will the Colts be active or looking for anything at the deadline?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I would just be guessing, guys. I would think anybody who's over 300 pounds and can move probably would be somebody they'd be interested in on the offensive line, right? But if they did anything, it would be real minor. So, but I would be guessing. So I don't want to guess.
All right. Jaden Allen asked if you'll take a Pacers question.
Sure.
But I don't know if he's still on here. Jaden, if you're still on here, throw your question in there for him.
Well, I got a question. Since I'm the only one who watched Pacers and everything.
You're the one.
I'm the one. So
Yeah.
when it comes to the Pacers, with the path, I know they're in the rebuild stage right now with everything. Do you see them trading Turner or Buddy Hield?
Yes.
Round?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a matter of when. I mean, the trade deadline is in when is the trade deadline? I don't know the trade deadline, but
it's like in February. It's like in February.
It's February, yeah. I think the sooner they move those guys, the better, for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being they need to be as bad as they can possibly be, and to get a 14% chance of getting that first pick. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you what, the second pick, Scoot Henderson, that guy can play, and really the first round is really deep. Kevin Pritchard has told us there's good 6, 7, 8 guys at the top of the first round who are franchise-altering players. So I think the sooner they move Miles and Buddy, the better.
Do you think they're going to be the Lakers, though? Or for Russ?
Well, that was the trade that was on the table for a long time. The Pacers wanted 2 future first-round picks, 2027 and 2029, for Hield and Turner and Westbrook's contract, which they would just buy him out. Westbrook would never play, but he would provide them with lots of cap room next year. It's an interesting situation. I think Miles and Buddy will be total pros about it. I think they'll play their asses off. Keep in mind that Miles is in a contract year. It's he'll be a free agent at the end of the year, so he needs to show the league that he's worth the kind of money that he wants. 125 million, 100 million, whatever it might be. Basically, what we all make.
Right. I wish. I wish. All right. Well, that was
don't
my
tell people
question.
my salary, Bob. That's unprofessional. All right. Charles wants to know, what was a draft pick you were right about and the Colts didn't choose? What's your all-time? Justin Herbert. Mine too. My God, I love that kid.
I wrote a column during the combine. Sorry, I'm just getting a little tired. I wrote a column during the combine saying, what's wrong with the guy? He's big. He's got a rocket. He's got a great arm. He sees the field. He's played in a pro style offense, but it's changed. Back in the day, guys, you remember he was the prototype. He was 6'5". He had the arm. He could play from the pocket. Now you're looking for Lamar Jackson. Now you're looking for guys who can move. Mahomes. You're looking for guys who can make plays off script. And I met a former Colts scout at a Purdue game, and we were talking about it. And he said, we're just sitting there in the room thinking, are we seeing something that nobody else sees? Because remember, I forget where he was drafted, but I really felt strongly that he was going to be a player. And so that's one of the few I've been right about, but mostly I'm wrong.
And follow up to Charles's question, what's your all-time favorite free agent move for the Colts?
Oh, my God.
And don't say Richardson, please.
Oh, he wasn't a free agent. Trent was that
was a trade, wasn't it?
That was a trade for a first-round draft pick who turned into, do you know?
I do not.
Johnny Manziel.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
That's okay.
So
the air ball.
Yeah, we both lost in that deal.
Lost in that trade.
Facts.
Even Johnny lost in that one.
I'll give you a free agent move.
What you mean? You didn't want this at Indy?
No.
You don't want that, Bob?
No.
I think he was a free agent. Booger McFarland.
He was.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think he was a free agent, and Bill Polian signed him, and he brought something to that defense, and they won a Super Bowl with him. So I would say Booger would be my favorite free agent move that I can recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I like that question because for me, it's Jabal Sheard. I think he played really well for us.
Yeah, he did.
And right now the verdict's out on Stephon, but let's just
he's played well. I don't know that the jury is out, man. I think Stephon Gilmore's been really good.
Yeah, he has. He won the first 2 games for us, Kansas City to break up.
Oh, no doubt.
So absolutely.
What the hell? You guys are drinking beer and I got nothing in front of me?
Hey man, that's your house. You can have whatever you want on
it. I got Ice Mountain. Today's episode is brought to you by the lovely folks from Ice Mountain.
We don't get no fucking.
Give him an Omaha.
Yeah.
I'm sending him a bill for that one.
They call it. We got another one. We got a few more minutes with you, Bob.
We're getting tons of them. I'm trying to keep up.
No problem.
Okay, there you go. Tony says, Bob, do you see any ex-coaches that are doing TV now coming back to coaching?
Yeah, Sean Payton.
Yep, I agree.
You think Jim's still on the phone with him, like all the rumors are?
No, I don't think Jim. Look, Sean Payton's not going to come here unless he's got a really great quarterback. So, if they were to move on from Frank Reich, which I don't think they are going to, Sean Payton's not going to come here unless they suddenly get Aaron Rodgers. It's just not going to happen. So, but he's the one guy who comes to mind who's on TV now, and yeah.
And wouldn't he want some of the GM gig? Didn't he kind of GM down in New Orleans?
No, they had a separate guy.
Did they? Okay. I bet.
His name escapes me, but yeah, they had bifurcation of responsibilities. It's
I got you.
Big word that I like.
Robert brings up a good question on the O-line coach, because we talked about this a couple weeks, and where we're trying to pull layers back on what's going on with this O-line, and I think it was Carvey that brought up the O-line coach.
Yeah,
so
we started. He's hanging on by a thread, guys. I'm telling you, if I can virtually guarantee you that unless there is significant improvement, Chris Strasser will be sacrificed at the altar at the end of the season. I really thought that he might even get whacked in the course of the season, and it's still possible. But when you have that much money invested in your O-line, they're playing that poorly, somebody's got to, they're not going to.
Somebody's got to answer for it.
Somebody's got to answer for it. That's exactly right.
Who was the Bulldog we had that got fired because he, I guess he had.
Oh, Dave Guglielmo.
Yeah, damn.
But
he was good.
he's been fired from every job he's ever had within a year. I liked him. He was a funny guy. He was a New York guy. I got along great with the guy, but he has not lasted anywhere he's been. So there might be something there that I'm just not aware of.
Yeah, he was a good coach, but I mean, if we start making players feel a certain way, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the whole story there, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Here's a good question again from Chase. What's the perfect young QB for this team going forward?
Well, I have not done a ton of studying on the guys who are available, but I mean, I would give you the usual names: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis from Kentucky. I was really impressed by Hendon Hooker, the kid from Tennessee.
Yep.
Look, some other names will come up over time. Every draft, pre-draft period, guys emerge, but those are the guys that I would look at. I think you need a guy who can make plays off script. I think that's the way this league is. Now if there's a Herbert available, hey, yeah, go after him. But they need to settle in and commit to a quarterback. I do not personally want to see Matt Ryan be on the end of the season.
So my question to that, though, all the guys you mentioned, maybe Levis, but the other ones are lottery picks, right? So we would have to suck all the way through. You don't think to even have a chance or make?
Oh yeah, I mean they'd have to move up. There's no doubt. But and there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback. It's not going to be easy. But that's why Chris Ballard gets paid a lot of money and lives in a really big house. To make those kinds of moves. Because if they come back with Matt Ryan, that tells me they're just not. They don't give a shit. That tells me that they're not trying. So that they have got to go get themselves the successor this offseason.
Did you like Ritter?
Who's that?
Did you like Ritter last year? Because I know.
Oh, Desmond Ritter. He was all right. I didn't think he was great. I forgot where he got picked up.
Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Pierce and him. I was just thinking maybe that was like something there. I don't know. But.
Yeah, they need to. I mean, if you want a stud, I realize Tom Brady picked in the 6th round. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you want a great quarterback. Chances are you got to go get him high in the 1st round. That's just the way it is. Guys, the Russell Wilsons and the Bradys are anomalies. So they have got to make an aggressive move this offseason to move up, unless, of course, it happens organically and they just suck the rest of the year and end up with a high draft pick. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be in the hunt for the AFC South, because they're not that terrible, as bad as the offense has been, and B, the AFC South is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, there's just no dominant team.
Now, with what you just said about moving up, do you see any star like Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson on the trading block?
No.
So they can move up? I don't either, but there's a lot of, especially last season, there was a lot of chatter about making those guys available so we can get the draft capital.
No, I mean, I could see a Ryan Kelly maybe, if you're looking for players who might be. I'm not saying Ryan Kelly's going to get traded. I'm just saying that they like Danny Pinter at that position. Ryan makes a lot of money on a very expensive offensive line and hasn't had a great year so far. So I could see him being part of a package. But they're gonna, it's gonna be future picks. This is the time to do it, because honestly, I mean, do you really? I already asked this question, and one of you said yes. Do you really want to see more Matt Ryan? I don't.
Oh man, I said that because what's the other alternative if we don't get if we don't get a quarterback? That's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
7-7
available.
I mean, I only like 7-7 when I'm drinking alcohol, so I can't do another 7.
Which I'll be doing in about 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, because we're at an hour, so maybe 1 or 2 more, and then
sure, no problem.
Well, Jaden finally got his. I got down to Jaden's Pacer question. He says, "How come Pacers are starting Hyde over?"
Oh, Hield.
Yeah, and there's a reason why this hasn't been playing in games.
Yeah, Theis is hurt, and Healed. I think Healed will start initially over Matherin, but in fact, I asked Rick Carlisle today at practice about his starting lineup. He said he wouldn't reveal that until tomorrow prior to the game. I want to see Benedict Matherin get as many minutes as humanly possible because I think he's going to be a really good player. I think he might be the rookie of the year. He's got a chance. I've talked with somebody said it sounds like I've been drinking already. No, not yet. That will come though. No, but Matherin has got a little Dwayne Wade to his game. I really believe that. I just see some things in him, his aggressiveness, his fearlessness, the way he moves. I think in time, it doesn't make sense to play a lot of Buddy Hield because, again, the idea is to develop young players. Mm-hmm. And while Buddy Hield is not, AARP, he's not a guy that moving forward is going to be part of this organization.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
All right. So last question, because we talk about Pacers and everything. Do you think he was crazy saying that LeBron got to prove that he's better than him? you remember that?
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I just appreciate the bravado. Will LeBron drop 45 on him? Probably. You don't tug at Superman's cape, man. You just don't do it. You don't poke the bear.
I was like, what is he thinking?
I thought it was funny. And look, the Pacers is just such like a no-name organization now with this complete rebuild. Nobody cares about the Pacers. Even people in Indiana don't care that much about the Pacers at this point. And for a guy to come out and say something like that, good for him. That's great. I think that's awesome. Show a little, a little cockiness.
Put some spice into the Pacers' life.
Exactly, because there's not a lot. There's not a lot of spice there. Believe me.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
I feel like a lot of fans feel like Pritchard has let them down more than Ballard has with the Colts. Like Pritchard has just done some wild things.
Well, I mean, look, Brogdon couldn't stay healthy. TJ Warren couldn't stay healthy. Miles never stays healthy. I mean, they had to take chances on a lot of guys with injury histories because it's very hard for the Pacers to get guys, especially free agents. I'm talking about. So they have to take chances that other organizations don't necessarily have to take. And those guys, big surprise, were hurt, And so I think this is the right approach to take. I really do. I think they're going to suck, and it may take a while. But let me tell you something. If you can get Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson, shit, this thing can get good real fast.
Really
fast. All right, Bob, our last question from our followers comes from Tyler, watching on YouTube. Appreciate you, Tyler. He says, so is it a rebuild or are we just missing the QB? Because I see the talent other than QB.
Yeah, I think they got to solidify this offensive line, which I never thought was going to be a big problem this year. I figured with 3 key guys all back, I thought they would be fine. I never had any idea, like I said before, they would miss, Reed, Fisher, who was the guy who played
Glowinski.
Glowinski, yeah. I never thought they would miss those guys as much as they have. But I think this is a really good team. I mean, they had 7 Pro Bowlers last year.
Crazy.
And they just need to solidify the offensive line. They need to strengthen the wide receiving core. But look, it's a quarterback league, and unless you got that stud back there, you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance.
True. The Trent Dilfer Super Bowl years are over with.
Yeah, those are very rare. Very rare.
Absolutely. Bob, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Anytime.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I had a good time.
Oh my goodness.
Give me an Omaha.
That's for not drinking on the show, damn it.
Well, I'm going to right now.
Next time you better come with something in your hand.
Next time I will drink heavily before, during, and after. And I will be very entertaining.
Now, Bob, where can everybody find your work and keeping up with you?
Go to theathletic.com, and it's a subscription site. So you have to, if you want to sign up to read it, if you want to subscribe, just look for any one of my stories and you can subscribe there. And I get credit for the subscription. That makes my bosses very happy, and it makes me happy too. So go to theathletic.com. Our Pacers coverage is second to none with Zach and James. And, I'm okay.
Yeah, I told Zach at training camp, he says, you just can't get enough, can you? I said, no, sir. When I grow up, I'm going to be just like you. He said, no, you don't.
You don't. You definitely don't want to be me.
Man, this is fun. Boys, you got any reattacks before Bob gets out of here?
Bob, we appreciate your friendship.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on here, and I hope we can get our timing right, get you back on. This has been an absolute blast having you, catching your insight on things.
Not a problem, my guy.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Awesome, dude.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, Big Bob.
We're going to get you a T-shirt. The Big Bob way.
Oh, man.
Big Bob's opinions.
Well,
Wow, boys, that was friggin' awesome.
That was
fun. That was so fun.
That's what it's about, bro. What kind of wins have we had over the last couple of days, man? Got Defoe to give us a shout today. Got the legendary Bob Kravitz tonight. Got to talk to Jelani Woods last week and Rodney Thomas. Have you been able to get that audio yet to throw that out there for everybody?
No, sir, I've not even opened my laptop until 10 minutes before the show started, so I get a few stats.
Please do your job, Patrick.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah.
I was talking
Yeah,
to
you
Mo
may-
Friday.
But you can call HR all you want. I've done buttered doughs, biscuits, buddy.
Yeah.
Did you promote? Did you
butter my wife? You butter my wife's biscuits.
Wait a minute.
With that bottle of wine, I did. Hell yeah!
Hit that damn Omaha button.
Let me show it to you.
Man, you
Let
know
me
what?
show it.
We out.
Oh my god.
We banging that bitch. No, but did you get to talk to Mo Ali? Did you break some bread with him?
Yeah, I did. I did talk to Mo Ali Cox Friday when I went to the Pacers game. I did give him a card, and hopefully he could just get back at us, though. So
Double tap. I mean, he see
Signed
Defoe do it.
by DeForest Buckner, baby.
You can
Big
keep
talk.
it now.
Just for Miss Sarah.
Because that's in the
Keep it
works
now.
too, right? We trying to get Big Buck on here as well, correct?
We are definitely trying. We'll
All
keep
right.
everybody abreast on those developments for
Some
sure.
more big news, y'all. We talked to the Colts and some representatives there today. We got y'all some discounts on some tickets. How about that?
Check that shit out. That's what's up. And it's for 2 games, right? We got the
It's-
Chargers game.
Yeah,
Chargers
the
and-
primetime game and the Texans.
Yep.
So Chargers right after Christmas, and then the Texans game is the last game of the season.
Very last game.
It's,
Yep.
Yeah, it still says to be determined right now. So
All right. Well, we sent the leak on the leak. We sent the link on the page. So go out there, check those tickets out if you're trying to get to a game for cheap. So good
I
job.
gotta grab the dogs. Y'all keep doing what you do.
and y'all can come party with us at the tailgate party. Drink, bang that anvil. Let's have a good time. So get those tickets, hang out with the crew.
eat some good food.
Next tailgate is 30 October against the Commandos.
Yes,
as Bob
sir.
calls them.
Which
And
you
we
gonna
will not get to see Carson Wentz return because he's injured. I will be at that one.
I will be there too. I believe so.
Yeah,
All right,
it will
nice.
be.
Thomas,
Right.
you drink nothing but water.
Get into final thoughts, man, so we can get out of here.
Let's get into the final thoughts, y'all. Thomas, what's your final thoughts, buddy?
I want to thank everyone who tuned into the experimental stream last night. It's a little wonky. I'm trying to figure out how to get Facebook implemented on it, but I had people comment, and I want to thank them because that was on off the top. So that'll be a thing going forward. Anybody who plays Madden, I do the Ultimate Team stuff. I'm trying to build a Colts team, get as many Colts cards as I can. Not going to say no to any other card, but get some cool Colts cards for our viewers to kind of look at. See, they just released some new ones. Deion Jackson got a Team of the Week card, which is pretty cool, so we can check that out. But thank you guys who kind of supported that last night. That was pretty cool.
Yes, so that is going to be a new lane in the Anvil. Thomas plays a lot of Madden, so not only will he be just streaming MUT games, but he will also be doing some tutorials, helping people get better at Madden. We talked about some stuff. So here, the Anvil, we're trying to have fun with a lot of things, not just football, but still.
Thomas, I'll bust your head.
Why?
All right.
What about my head for?
I'll bust your head in Madden. Just put it out there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Anyways, Tyler, I know you're not on socials anymore other than YouTube, so I'll definitely send that to you at the end of the show, brother, so we can get you hopefully some more tickets here at the end of the season. So
Wait,
let's
didn't Tyler
see.
win tickets earlier this year?
Huh?
Didn't Tyler win tickets earlier, or was that Sean?
No, that was Sean.
Okay. As long as whoever wins the damn tickets, go to the damn game.
Oh shit!
It was Sean.
Yeah,
It was Sean.
You still get an Omaha for that shit. All right, who's next?
Carvey, what you got, buddy?
All right, my final thoughts. Hey guys, it's been an honor having Bob out here. It's been an honor hanging out with you guys. You know, I had a good Sunday. Colts won. I was on the field with Pat, you know, before pregame. Talked to Chuck Pagano. I mean, it was awesome. It was all a good time. So, you know, this is what it's all about. Spending time with your friends, you know, your brothers, your loved ones. So, you know, it's been an honor to experience these things with you guys, with all our friends and families out here. So just want to say thank you.
Absolutely. Baldy locks. What
Look
do you
at
got?
Sean. He's like, wow. He was like, I can make it. Then the next day, he's like, I gave him to my homie. He went. Yeah, you get another Omaha shot. Who's that?
Anyways, I
Baldy
definitely want to say a big thank you to Bob for coming on, spending time. I know we do things late because everybody works, everybody's got families, and this time frame works for us and our crew. So for him to carve out a time for that, definitely appreciate it. And you heard his phone going off, and the editor, man's constantly working. So definitely a big shout out to him for that. And a super shout out for everybody that follows us. You guys are awesome. You validate what we do. We feel extremely blessed having the opportunities that we do, and we hope that we're sharing those blessings right along with you guys. So thank you very much.
100%.
Back that up. Thank you all so very much for following us every night and every week and seeing us at the games. We appreciate y'all's support. We love having fun with y'all every week and every day. The ones we talk to every day and see at the game. So going on to Claude real quick, let him get his final thoughts in.
All right, man. My final thoughts. I appreciate what you just said, Sean. Betts Colts podcast, period. And that's where I'm coming from, man. Like, hey, we just out here trying to have a good time. So please spread the word. Get those numbers up for us. Push it on YouTube, push it on Facebook Live, show up, have your comments come up, you know, the whole thing, man. We here for y'all, man. So I appreciate that. And then to Bob, you know, I've heard different times how people have felt like, oh, and this guy's this guy's that. You got to see the real true Bob tonight. He wasn't working for the Athletic, he wasn't working for WTHR, he wasn't working for the Indy Star. He was just here being himself, man. So I'll have him on any day. What the hell is that sound? Patrick, is that you?
Pat. It's all
I
Pat.
ain't even moving.
It's Pat.
It's your
over there. But anyway, of course he does it when it's my final thoughts, asshole, after you said your piece. So
I don't like being attacked like this.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with the attack.
Apparently you got HR in your pocket, so it don't matter. Like she
Damn
gonna
right.
fucking
And she's
blame
gonna be
me.
calling you tonight, buddy.
Anyway, let me finish. So I'm sorry that I have not made a couple of the tailgates, but I will be at the next one. So please tell everybody, come out, stop by, bang the Anvil, do an Anvil shot. I don't know what would be on the menu that day, but on the 30th, probably want to bring a coat. I seen that you guys already got snow. Holy shit. So bring a coat, stay warm. Let's get a W, man. Bang that bitch.
Absolutely. My final thoughts are again, piggybacking off a couple of thoughts here. Thank you, everybody, for following us. We're having a blast at these tailgates. Thank you to everybody who's coming out supporting us, you know, letting us do what we do. it's a blast, man. It really is. I mean, we're trying to let it be work. I mean, but we're still trying to grow at the same time. So, but you know what? We're a fan-centric podcast, like we keep saying. So we're gonna keep having fun at it. And if we grow, we grow. We don't, we don't. But the blessings keep coming. So that's what we're gonna roll with.
The thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but everybody that follows the Anvil, you follow each other because we're all just family here. It's not one head at the table. We're all family here. So if you're part of the Anvil crew, you're part of the family. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
I second that, but Pat gonna start getting all soft and shit. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll mute myself now.
put me to sleep, man.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna
Kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. But anyway. Anyway, everybody, you all stay safe out there. No drinking and driving. Stay blessed. Stay pretty. And remember, go Colts.
Colts.
Go Colts, baby.